Welcome back to the PI Show, viewers. It's that time of the show where we've got the mailbag. Welcome.
Good evening, Tony. Good evening, John.
Kathy,
Viewers,
how are
good
you?
evening. Well, thank you. How are you?
Can I just quickly wrap up what we were talking about before?
Of course.
Because I think we touched upon surveillance in the work cover area. You've got to be careful, viewers, because when we talk about surveillance, most of the cases have been in the work cover sphere. But be careful if you've got a superannuation claim, car accident claim, public liability, anything where you're trying to claim some level of compensation or even trauma benefits or sickness policy, you can bet your bottom dollar that the insurer will engage surveillance people. So the minute you're injured, Big Brother's watching you, so be careful. Don't be inconsistent. Kathy.
Wow, I'm a bit scared now, viewers. There's a surveillance on all of us.
Someone's watching you.
What about Big Sister? Why isn't it gender neutral and it's always Big Brother? That's the question I have. So.
You can ask George Orwell.
I think we like to picture females as being petite, Kathy.
Oh, well,
You know what I mean?
we won't go into that conversation,
We don't want
Tony.
big-
I'll let that one slide.
Big
Viewers,
bustling.
we'll go straight into the questions because they keep coming through, and thank you again for writing in. We've got some interesting ones tonight, boys, that I would like you to answer for our viewers. First one, Dear PI Show. I sustained injuries at work a number of years ago and engaged lawyers to proceed with a common law claim against my employer. Proceedings were settled early on. However, I was adamant that I did not want to settle and feel that I was bullied into settling by my lawyers. Is there anything that I can do? Now, this is from Frank in Traralgon. Viewers, you have to come up with suburbs that I can pronounce, I'm afraid. It's a little bit difficult. But
country
Tony,
Victoria.
what would you say to Frank in regards to this situation?
Frank, I've been in the law for a long, long time, and as much as you think you're bullied, I'm pretty sure that your lawyers had good reason to want you to settle. Now, recently I had a case that went to court, and we've got all these rules and regulations we deal with these days. You've got to put in offers and counter-stat offers, and you've got to beat these offers. You've got to get within 90% of what you asked for. Now, the case we ran, the lawyers couldn't get this bloke to put in a figure that was reasonable, so the case went to court for 12 days, John, and he got $425,000, which was a lot of money. Because he didn't get within the 90%, he didn't get his cost paid. So out of the 425, he's not going to see much. I think he's not going to see anything.
In that case, he didn't listen to his lawyers.
Yes. So, Frank, when you talk about being bullied, harassed or forced into a settlement, you can bet your bottom dollar if you sit down with your lawyer, ring him up and go and see him. Sit down with him, and I'm pretty confident there's things there that would want you to settle, because there's a lot to these cases.
And no one's happy with a result like that. I mean, we as lawyers act on your interests to try and get you as much just compensation that we can.
That's it. So I suggest he rings up his lawyer and goes and sits down with him and have a chat.
Yeah.
Well, we hope that's helped you, Frank. We're going to move on to the next question. Dear Kathy, John and Tony, I work at a fast food outlet in a rough neighbourhood. We often get drunk and disorderly customers coming in late at night. Oh, I thought the staff were getting drunk there for a second.
They are probably
But we shouldn't be laughing. I have felt threatened on a number of occasions and now find it stressful to work night shifts. This has started to affect my day-to-day life, and I feel that I am more timid and flighty than I used to be. Am I entitled to any compensation? And this is Jessica from Melbourne. Now, can I just, I'm going to pass it to you, John, but can I say that I have been, when I initially started working out, I used to work at a fast food chain, and I actually can understand where Jessica's coming from. It can be a stressful environment.
Yeah.
What would you say to this in terms of compensation entitlement?
Particularly in the middle of the night. Look, the employer is required to provide a safe workplace. It looks like there's not enough security here. If she's suffering now from psychological symptoms, which Jessica looks like she is, she can lodge a work cover claim to at least take care of the medical expenses side of things. And if things get worse, well, weekly payments, lump sum claims, that all may flow. But initially, the employer is supposed to provide a safe workplace, and that doesn't look like.
John,
that's
can I
been
say
built
the
in.
employer's got to make a risk assessment.
Exactly.
And in a lot of these service stations, they've got bulletproof glass and
security,
alarms and all sorts of things.
Yeah.
So,
Well, in fast food outlets, in the middle of the night now, it's almost standard, Tony, isn't it, that there is a security guard?
well, I know the McDonald's in St Kilda's got one.
Yeah. No, all these fast food outlets, they should have a security guard, and there should be risk assessments done on a regular basis.
I think Jessica should get legal advice. There might be some merit to her claim, subject to how serious her injuries are.
Yes.
And also, Jessica should speak to her employer if she's feeling that unsafe as well, to see if there's
That's a good point.
any other
Kathy,
circumstances that they can help.
That's a fantastic point. You need to raise it and complain to the employer about exactly what's gone on.
Because otherwise you might have the problem that we discussed earlier,
Foreseeability.
foreseeability. The employer says, I don't know there was a problem, you didn't tell me. Yeah, that's a good point.
So, well, we hope that's helped you, Jessica, and definitely seek legal advice should you need to, and obviously consult a doctor as well, just in case. We'll move on to the third question, which is fairly detailed and open to a lot of discussion, I believe. To the PI show, I am an 18-year-old male who used to be heavily involved in high-level competitive sport. I trained at an academy and envisioned myself playing cricket professionally one day. When I was 15, I sustained a shoulder injury whilst playing soccer. The academy knew about this. A year later, we were playing water polo as part of a training exercise at the academy when I dislocated my shoulder. I have had numerous operations on the shoulder, which is still badly injured, and my days of playing sport are now over. I was wondering if there are any legal paths that I could go down, and this is from Joseph in Frankston. Tony, this doesn't sound like work cover to me,
No,
but
it's not work cover.
what do you
It's-
think?
It sounds like a complex set of circumstances here because if you're going to contemplate suing the academy, you're going to have to go through sort of public liability insurance. The fact that they knew that he had a shoulder problem, maybe he should have been medically examined or brought in a certificate to say that he can partake in that sort of sport. You know, maybe he could have done that, but
They were aware of it. So can you explain what the deal is between a sports injury and why it's not work cover?
well, it's been excluded.
Sorry, John.
John, you've looked at this recently.
Well, Daniel Bell has been in the news about he's a former Melbourne player, delisted. He's suffering from severe concussion, Tony.
He's got brain damage,
and
I
brain
think.
damage.
That's
from-
not
The
good.
neuropsychologist has said, yeah, you have clear brain damage.
But John, that's not a work cover case because it's excluded under legislation. The only ones,
The Act
the only
is
people
clear.
included are jockeys these days.
The Act is clear. All sporting participants in Victoria are excluded from work cover legislation, work cover entitlements, apart from jockeys. However,
That's a big loophole, isn't it, John?
well, it is. It seems a bit odd, doesn't it, Tony?
Should be looked at. Should be looked at.
So you're saying that covers AFL, the A-League, tennis. You're
It
talking
knocks
about
out
everything
everyone.
out except
Everyone
for
except
jockeys.
jockeys, yeah.
Wow.
Except jockeys, and that's a big omission, isn't it, Tony?
Oh, massive, massive. Look,
a massive industry.
This is a very interesting problem. I think should get advice, and if anything, there's public liability. You want to talk about?
We would like to thank again the viewers for writing in, and we would like you to catch up on previous episodes and to please keep writing in as we love answering your questions. Please visit www.thepishow.com as we love coming back and answering your questions. Thank you for watching tonight.
Thanks, viewers. Stay
Good night,
safe.
viewers.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Kathy.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Tony.
John.
Good night.